Hi, everybody. Melissa here. And so thank you for joining me for our nourishment class today. And so this class will be a combination of movement, and we will also have meditation and chanting at the end. And so when we think about nourishment, we mostly tend to think about food. And of course, nourishing our body with food and water, rest are all crucial things. And then nourishment also means to hold something clearly in our mind as we steadily work toward it, to nourish a dream or to nourish an ambition. And so when we think about nourishment in the yogic sense, we're really thinking and talking about our second chakra, Svadhisthana chakra. And so this is our chakra of our inner dwelling place. And so this is truly our place where we nourish ourself from within. And so that means not only is the pelvis our source of nourishment for life, if we are a progenitor, it also is our source of nourishment for our creativity, our ability to go with the flow, our literal ability to go with the flow when it comes to our menstrual cycle. And so when we're thinking about nourishment and we're a person with PMDD, then it's really imperative that we think about how we are connected to our pelvis, how we are connected to our second chakra energy, and how we move and breathe and relate to that space will hopefully help us to find a place where we feel really connected, where we feel like we are nourished, where we're energetically creating and promoting what we need for ourselves from the inside out. Isn't that wonderful? So whenever we're thinking about working with chakra energy, we are of course targeting a anatomical area. So in this case, the pelvis, our sacral area. And so thinking a lot about getting some action in here. And then we're also thinking about some of these more subtle effects of energy, of energetic movement. And so we want to imagine as though our breath can flow into the pelvis. We also want to think of the pelvis as a space where we are connecting with the higher qualities of connection. So rather than feeling alone or isolated, as we so often do during the luteal phase, we instead shift to a sense of connectedness and belonging. And so we want to think about not only the anatomical, the physical, the gross structural stuff when it comes to our body, we also want to think about the subtle stuff. We want to think about characteristics, sensations, and qualities commingling together as we kind of inhabit and hold this idea of self-nourishment. And so let's just take a moment here, and I would love for you to, before we talk about it anymore in this practice, to consider for yourself what feels nourishing. What do you equate with nourishment? And it could be food, it could be things that you do or things that you do enjoy that just fill you up, that make you feel so nourished. And so let's just take a moment and you can journal some ideas that you may have. If you want to just close your eyes and think on it for just a mo, we'll take just a little time here and then we will get started with our practice. So taking just about a minute more, getting your thoughts down. We can reconnect to this idea at the end of our practice as well. So no rush. If you can't quite get everything out, we'll have plenty more time to dwell in that inner dwelling place. Really, I should say down here. All right, so go ahead and you can put your journal aside for now. And remember, this is your practice. So at any time you can pick that back up, write some notes down if something has come to mind that you want to make sure that you get down on paper. And know that you can rest at any time. This practice will have a little bit more movement than maybe some of our previous practices, but as always, we're going to try to keep it so that it's feeling good, that we're making sure the body feels like we are gently co-creating this experience. And so for props, you are going to need 2 blocks and a blanket. As you can see, I'm seated on here. And we can go ahead and move the props out of the way for now. We'll move the blanket off to the side. And then I would recommend taking your blocks and framing one edge of your mat. So whatever you may consider the front of your mat, you can go ahead and bring your blocks there. And they can be off of the mat. They don't necessarily have to be on it. And so from here, we're actually going to start our practice today in child's pose. So when you feel ready, you can make your way over onto your hands and knees. And we'll take the knees about mat width distance apart, turning the shoelace part of the foot down to the floor. You can settle your bottom back down onto your hips. And then walking your hands forward as far as you can away from your hips. Let your side body stretch out, being nice and long here. And settling down slowly as you exhale, your forehead can come to the floor, or if you would like, bring your forehead to a support. Relax and settle down into the block or into the floor, letting the full weight of your head rest on the support below you. Take a big full breath in and stretch out through the ribs, thinking about the breath expanding and filling your body up, inflating the belly, the ribs, lifting even the collarbones a little here. And then with your next exhale out, let yourself become even heavier, thinking about emptying down onto the ground. Maybe letting that exhale come out of your mouth hot and heavy. Let's do that 2 more times. Full, deep, stretching breath in. You can reach your hands forward, lift through the ribs, slightly open up. And then hot and heavy exhale, release and let it go. One more round. And let it go. Slowly rolling your forehead side to side across the block or your support or the floor. Just massaging your forehead, letting the back of the neck relax. Breathing deep down into the pelvis, allowing the breath to grow deeper as you become more relaxed. Maybe sealing the lips now and allowing the breath to flow in and out through your nose. Softening through the mouth, releasing any tension between the teeth, allowing the tongue to rest. Coming back to center, we're going to inhale and press into your hands a little bit. We'll walk our hands now over towards the right edge of the mat. Take your right hand and cup your right hand over your left, anchoring your left hand down to the ground. And then turn your left ear down to the ground, creating a nice side body stretch here from the left hip up through the left fingertips. You can move your block and rest your head on your block or rest your head on your own arm. Breathe into the left rib cage, breathing space in between the rib and the hip. Again, sending breath down deep into the pelvis. Inhale again, pressing into your hands, walk them back to center, and then we'll exhale, stretch forward and come down. Inhale and lift up again. Let's walk over towards the left edge of the mat. Right hand comes to the floor and left hand caps it. Right ear comes down. Breathing down the right rib cage, down the side body on your right. Feeling that stretch maybe even into your armpit and down the right arm. Pressing into your hands, inhale and come up again, walking your hands all the way forward, exhaling to stretch down and relax. We won't linger here though, we're gonna press into our hands now. Inhaling, shifting the hips forward, lifting the hips off of the heels. You can take your hips towards your elbows, bringing your knees in. We're gonna just let our hips sink down towards the floor. Keep pressing into the hands, let your hips sink as far as they want. Maybe just swishing a little bit side to side. Not really worrying about alignment right now, just going with what feels good. With your next exhale, slowly bend your elbows back towards your hips. Lay yourself all the way down onto the ground, taking your belly to the floor. With your belly on the floor, if you're a glasses wearer like I am, you can take your glasses off. We'll lay one cheek of our choice down onto the ground and let your arms relax open beside you. Turning the palms to face towards the ceiling, letting your whole body melt into a puddle. Feeling your breath breathe into the ground as your belly inflates and deflates. Breathing deep down into your pelvis. With your next inhale, let's slide our hands forward, taking our arms into parallel lines. We'll bring our forearms to the floor with the elbows tucked in towards our ribs, lining up underneath our shoulder. And then our wrist will line up with our elbow, with our middle finger lining up with our wrist and our elbow. So nice straight lines here with the hands spread wide. Pressing into the hands, draw your heart forward into the space between your arms as you pull the shoulder blades down away from your ears and towards one another along your back body. Press into your feet a little more here, feeling the pelvis anchored on the floor, feeling the stretch from the belly button all the way up to the crown of the head. Breathe deep down into the base of your body. Engage and activate your glutes a little bit here and notice how that changes the experience in the low back. Keep pressing into your feet. Let's take another big full breath in. Exhale, slowly turn to look over your right shoulder. Keeping the collarbones squared towards the short end of your mat, just turning through the head. Breathe into the left side of your neck down now. Breathing in from the space where the muscle connects behind your ear, all the way down to where it connects to the collarbone, following that line of your sternocleidomastoid. If you experience any neck or jaw tension, this is usually tight. With your next inhale, let's slowly turn the head back to center. And then we'll use our exhale to turn right over the left shoulder, stretching the right side of the neck. Keep pressing into your hands, keep engaging your glutes. Let's use our next inhale to slowly turn back to center here. And then we'll exhale, lay your belly down onto the ground, sliding your arms back behind you, palms turn towards the ceiling. And then this time, let the opposite cheek come down to the ground. Breathe into your belly. Soften through all your muscles. Let any tension come out of your bottom, out of your shoulders. With your next inhale, slide your hands back forward. This time we'll take our arms a little further away. We're going to turn our fingers out towards the corners of our mat, towards the long edges. And then pressing into your hands, squeeze your bottom, inhale and take your elbows off the floor, coming into our seal pose. And so if this doesn't feel comfortable, if there's too much pinching in the low back, come back down. You can keep your forearms on the floor and stay in our Sphinx pose instead, making sure that you take the variation that serves your body. If you come up into the seal posture, make sure that your glutes stay active. And we'll do the same thing here, inhaling to lift higher, exhaling to slowly turn and look over one shoulder. We won't hold it statically. Let's move dynamically, inhaling back to center. Exhaling to look over the opposite shoulder. Let's do one more round. Inhaling, coming back to center, breathing into the base of your body. Exhaling, turning to look towards the opposite side. Last one, inhale to return. Exhale, twisting the upper spine. Inhale, return to center. And then finally, we'll exhale, lowering the forearms if they're not already there. Slowly taking the heart down to the ground. And then the cheek of choice, the chin or the forehead can come to the mat. Again, softening, letting the whole body rest. Noticing if any of the sensations you may be experiencing align with your idea of nourishment. Noticing what you may be experiencing in your body and where. Taking a moment to listen to what you're experiencing from within. One more deep breath in. And deep breath out. Sliding your hands forward once again. We'll press into the hands, staying on the knees. Inhale, pull your belly towards your back, and we'll slide our knees forward here to come to our first tabletop position. And so in your tabletop position, we'll line our hips up over our knees. We'll line our shoulders up over our wrists, and we can measure out 2 fist width distance with the knees. And then with the hands, we can kind of check shoulders, elbows, wrists, shoulders, elbows, wrists. And then again, the fingers stay spread nice and wide, and the shoelace part of the foot can relax to the floor. And so now we've gotten into a little bit of back bending here. Let's go ahead and get more into the pelvis. So starting by just rocking side to side, pressing outward through the side body here, moving the lower spine through a little bit of lateral flexion. Getting a little booty stretch here. And so from here, let's start to take it into what are called hip rolls. And so you can drop your hips over to one side and then press the hips forward, push them out to the opposite side, and then take them back. And we'll just roll around a couple times here, going one direction and then the other. Listen to your knees. If your knees don't like anything that you do, you can slow down. You can maybe shift your position, maybe tucking your toes will help. You can also take your blanket under your knees here. And so just rolling it around, thinking about taking the pelvis through the full 360-degree range of motion, remembering that our pelvis is, it's attached to our legs, but it has its own ability to move. And so wherever you are, do at least one more round. And then coming back to the center, we've got to go the opposite way. And so whichever way you were doing before, we'll switch it up. And so focusing on the engagement in the low abdominals as you come forward, as the hips thrust forward slightly, feel the front of the hips squeeze together. As you press out through the side and back of your booty, pay attention to how you can feel those muscles expand and stretch, noticing any opening you may feel through the pelvis here. And it's okay if your knees are getting wider apart. Let's do just one more round. And come back to center. So let's fix our knees here, bring everything back together. And we can come off of the hands for just a moment, taking the elbows to the floor. Go ahead and roll your wrists. You can crack your fingers if you need to. Give them a little bit of a wiggle. All right, and then coming back to the floor, let's move through a few rounds of cat-cow. So dropping the head, take a full breath in. Exhale, round your spine, tuck your hips towards your elbows, chin towards chest. Inhale and lengthen through the front of your body, opening up through the heart as the crown of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. Exhale and round into it again, pushing the hips forward, arching through the spine. Inhaling and opening up, maybe taking the shoulders slightly past the wrist to stretch the forearms. And exhaling to round it in, really lengthening through the lower back, tucking the tailbone forward. One more round. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling to come back to center once again here. Let's take our hands one full hand print forward. Tucking the toes under, look back at your legs, release your head so that the back of the neck is long. Breathe in. And then as you exhale, lift the knees off the floor, press the hips back towards the wall behind you, keeping the head relaxed and loose. Go ahead and alternate, bending one knee and then the other. And crack your toes, lifting up onto the balls of the feet, and just stretching out the legs. All right, let's give our hands a little bit of a rest. So walking yourself forward towards your hands, take your feet nice and wide here. You can let your hands come the rest of the way back. We'll release the head You can take your arms and give them a little shake, roll them around. You can sway some side to side. If your blocks are still framing the front of your mat, you can grab your blocks and lift up a little bit. If you want to bring the floor a little closer, that can be nice. You can sway the hips, excuse me, side to side here. Getting any movement that feels good. Nourishing your body with its requests. All right, pressing into the bottoms of your feet. Hug your belly towards your back, tuck your chin towards your chest. Inhale and slowly roll up. Taking your time to stand, open your eyes if they're closed and keep them focused on one point. And then as you come up, slowly lift your gaze. Chin comes parallel to the floor once more. And so stepping onto the shoelace part of one foot, you can press down into it, roll it around a little bit. Switching and doing the opposite. Feeling yourself stand. Noticing anything that's changed from the beginning of your practice to now. How your body has started to wake up and your relationship with what you're asking your body to do and, how it's responding is hopefully improving a little bit. And so from here, we'll take our feet into our mountain pose position, approximately 2 fist width distance. And again, you can measure that out. I'll ask that you have your blocks framing the front of your mat as we had them before. And so standing on your own 2 feet, nice and tall and strong in your own power. You can rock back and forth on your feet for a moment to really get acquainted with their connection to the floor below you. Pressing down into your feet, pressing down into your heels. Start to lift through the front of the pelvis, lifting up through the legs. Firm through your glutes here so you can touch your buns. Make sure that your booty is active. We'll keep that lifting through the heart. Arms can relax down beside you with the palms open. If you'd like to set an intention for your practice at this time, you can go ahead and find that intention with an I am statement. I am nourished. I go with the flow. I am self-compassionate and creative. Whatever your intention may be, you can repeat it to yourself at this time. Pressing into the feet, inhale and extend your arms up overhead. Exhale, lean forward, swan diving, folding from the crease of your hips. You can let your arms stretch down towards the floor, release your head, you can circle it, let it hang. Inhale and let's lift up halfway. Hands can come to the shins or you can find your blocks here, placing them onto tower height, leaning towards your toes, pulling your belly towards your back and reaching the crown of the head away from your hips. And then we can exhale here. We're going to bend our knees. Maybe your blocks come now to your medium height. We'll keep our left foot forward here, but we'll take our right foot back. Taking ourselves into a high lunge. Lower the right knee down to the floor slowly into your low lunge. And pressing down in the left foot, you can sink into that right hip flexor, opening into the front of the right thigh. Pressing into your left foot, squeeze your glutes, activating your booty on that right side especially. Inhale and extend both arms up towards the ceiling. And then we can exhale and open our arms back, reaching the elbows towards one another along the back body. Keep your vision focused. Let's take another breath in. Exhale and take your hands down to the ground. Pressing into your hands here, we can push our hips back towards our right leg. Slide your left knee back to meet your right. We can stay here on the knees and lower down this way, maybe coming down one more level on your blocks so that your whole hand is able to fit on the block. Keep your hips facing or lean forward here so that you're in a low plank position. We'll exhale, bend your elbows back towards your ribs, slowly lower down. And then inhaling, straighten your arms, coming up, placing the tops of the feet only on the floor. You can come into our upward facing dog position. If this is too much, keep your knees on the ground and you can come into our cobra, pressing into the legs, lifting through the heart. That way, hands can still stay on the blocks. Wherever you are in your back bend here, we'll start to push up. And so if you're in upward facing dog, we want to flip the feet over, exhaling to press the hips up and back to down dog. If you are in cobra and you are still on the ground, we want to push up onto our knees into our half lift, then tuck the toes under to plank, and then find down dog. So meeting in down dog wherever you are. You can keep your hands on the blocks if that feels okay. You can let your head hang and dangle, maybe lifting onto the balls of your feet, swishing the hips side to side. When you're ready, we'll look forward to the space between our hands, slowly walking our feet towards the front of the mat. Inhale, and you can lift up halfway. Feel free to use your blocks. Your blocks can adjust as you do. Leaning towards your toes, pull your belly towards your back. Shoulders down away from the ears, chest is strong. Exhale here, and we're gonna bend our knees. You can take your blocks down, maybe a lower height. Shifting your weight to your right leg, we'll take our left foot back. Finding that high lunge, stretching out that left hip flexor, and then lowering the knee down to the ground. Shift your weight into that left hip flexor. Feel that stretch, engaging your booty. And now we'll inhale, open the arms out, reaching up. And then exhaling, pulling the arms back and down. Palms open towards the short end of the mat, crown of the head, lifting away from the base of the spine. Pressing into your right foot. Let's take one more big breath in. Exhale and slowly take yourself down. Hands come to the blocks. Push your left hip back towards your left knee, and then we'll slide that right leg back. And so again, you can come down a level. You have the option of moving from low plank to cobra or low plank to upward facing dog. So from low plank, let's explore upward facing dog, moving through chaturanga. And so we'll exhale, bend your elbows back towards your body. And then we'll inhale, press into the shoelace part of your feet. As you lift up, straighten your arms, let your hips sink. Your booty stays really active here, so squeeze your glutes, lifting through the crown of your head. Take one more big breath in. Exhale, flip your feet, lift up through your hips. You can roll over your toes, coming back to downward facing dog. And so stay on your blocks here. You can move a little or none at all, releasing through the head, checking in with your breath, noticing if your heart rate has increased much here, and allowing your breath to slow and deepen to let your heart rate steady. Looking forward to the spaces between your hands, slowly walk your feet towards the front of your mat. Inhale and lift up halfway. Extending here, pressing the floor away from you, hugging your belly towards your back, lifting through your chest. We're gonna exhale, bend your knees once more here. Take yourself down into your lower height. Shifting your weight into your left leg, we'll take our right foot back to find our high runner's lunge, adjusting your feet as you need. And now from our high runner's lunge, we'll lower our right knee down to the ground. Right hand stays in alignment with left foot. Inhale, sweep your left arm forward, and then exhale and reach it back towards your right leg. Inhale, left arm sweeps up. Exhale, take the left arm back down to the ground. And now we're going to tuck the toes under on the right leg. Step your left hands to the inside of your right foot. And now we're going to walk our hands over towards the long edge of the mat, adjusting both of your feet so that your toes now face the long edge of the mat. And now walking towards your right foot, lift the heel of the right foot, coming onto just the ball as you bend that right knee and lift the ball of the left foot. So we're moving into our surfer girl or just surfer pose. And so sitting tall here, feeling that stretch in the inner thigh and groin. If you're feeling pretty balanced, maybe try to take your hands off of the floor. It's okay if you have weight resting in that right hip from your right booty. You can sit right down on that foot if your feet allow. You can also use your blocks here to support underneath your leg if you need a little extra support. Again, maybe trying to lift your hands. All right, wherever you are, let's take our hands back down. We're going to inhale, come up, turning both feet to face towards the long edge of the mat again. And now we're going to walk all the way over towards what would be the back of our mat, turning both feet to face towards the short end of the mat once more. And the left knee is going to lower down to the ground. The left hand can stay right beside the right foot. Inhale, sweep the right arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reach the right arm back towards the left foot. Take another breath in. Exhale and take the right arm back down to the ground. We're going to tuck the toes under on the left leg. Inhale and lift the left leg up. Step the right hand to the inside of the right foot. And now we're going to spin towards the long edge of the mat, walking over towards the left foot. The heel of the left foot lifts. Ball of the right foot lifts, coming once again to our little surfing pose. Getting into that inner thigh and groin, keeping the toes really flexed here so that you get that deep stretch up the leg, feeling that stretch even all the way into the pelvis perhaps. Maybe trying to lift one or both hands. No worries. And again, if you need the assistance of the block, use the blocks underneath your leg. Let's take one more big breath. Inhale, press into your hands, slowly coming back to center. I'm going to turn face towards you so you don't have to stare at my booty. We'll keep our feet nice and wide here, finding a wide-legged fold. You can use your blocks as much or as little as you like. Finding this fold, you can wiggle a little bit here, moving side to side through your legs. You can stretch your hands forward, taking kind of a long down dog. You can walk your hands out towards your ankles and pull yourself down to the floor. Just exploring in your forward fold, your favorite way. Checking that weight is towards the front of your foot, that you're not hyperextending into the back of the knee if you have the flexibility to do so. With your next inhale, find yourself back at center. Excuse me. We'll come onto our blocks here, and we're going to walk our blocks all the way back over towards the right edge of our mat, or excuse me, what we consider the front edge of our mat. Coming down onto our left knee, or down onto your knee. So just making sure, because I switched sides. So making sure you're facing towards the front of the mat. Your back knee goes to the floor. And then we'll slide both knees back towards one another. Once again here, we'll move into down dog. If you want to move straight to down dog or move through cobra or move through your variation of upward facing dog, go ahead and do so. I'm going to move straight back to down dog. So coming onto the blocks into a nice flat shape here. We'll spread the fingers wide. Look back at your legs, tucking both toes under. With your exhale, lift up and back. And so check out your legs. Bend a little bit, hopefully a little more space in the inner thigh and groin. Hopefully a lot more awareness of our pelvis. And so from here, let's go ahead and lift our left knee in towards our chest, pressing into the right foot. Left knee hugs in. And now looking forward, start to shift forward, taking your left knee towards your left hand. We'll lower our right knee down to the ground and then scoot your right knee as far away from your left heel as you can. Grab your blanket that should be off to the side here, and we're going to place our blanket underneath our left butt cheek, coming into our pigeon pose. And so the right leg should be extended long back behind you. Go ahead and peek over your right leg or over your right shoulder and check that your hip, knee, and heel remain in alignment. So we don't want our leg like way off or crossed way over. And so we'll start upright. Again, back bending to open up through the front of the pelvis. Feeling that stretch in the hip flexor on that right side. Breathing deep down into the base of the body. Stay here for a few more breaths as it feels good. And then as you feel ready, you may start to fold forward. Coming onto your blocks if you like. Your forearms can come to the ground. You can let your head hang. Feeling that stretch in the outer hip on the left leg as well, potentially. Using the breath to go deeper, deeper, and deeper. Maybe making each exhale a little longer than the previous. Maybe allowing a little more of your body to let go. Maybe even finding a place where you're able to allow the mind to let go, to simply observe without judgment. You can repeat your intention. When you feel ready, slowly start the process of coming back up. Inhaling to lift back onto your hands. Taking your hands back to your blocks at a medium height here. We'll tuck the toes under on our right leg. Scooch forward onto the leg a little bit more here if you need to give yourself some anchoring. Tucking the toes on the right leg. Inhale and lift back to down dog, taking the left leg back. You can wiggle and jiggle as much or as little as you like here. And then as you feel comfortable, the left leg will become your stable leg. Right knee is going to hug into your chest. Looking forward, slowly lean forward, taking your right knee towards your right wrist. Left knee can come down to the ground. And again, scooch it around so that you get comfortable. Something can support underneath that right side. Setting your pigeon up so that you have the ability to sink and release into this front left hip flexor. And so sending the breath once again down into the base of the pelvis. Feeling it flow into the base of the spine. Expanding our sense of connectedness our ability to go with the flow, to be fluid. When you're feeling ready, you can start to come down or stay up if that feels more comfortable for you. Finding a place where you feel deeply comfortable, where you can relax into this sense of nourishment, feeling at home in the center of yourself. See if you can allow your breath to become a little deeper still, finding that there is a place, a calm place within you where you can let go, connecting to this inner dwelling place. Let's begin to deepen our breath and prepare to come back up. Taking your time, you can slowly press into your hands. We're not going to go quite as far this time because instead of taking our legs back, we'll instead lean all the way over into that right leg. And you can use your left hand to help pull your left leg forward, coming off of your support. We'll now take our support underneath our bottom, preparing for our meditation. And so remember, when we meditate, you are more than welcome to sit against a wall, to sit on a chair. You can sit in whatever way that, allows you to feel most comfortable to get into your own personal inner dwelling place and to connect. And so finding what that looks like for you and letting it be okay if you need some more props, if you need a little bit more rearrangement. Meditation is meant to be comfortable, so do whatever you need to make it that way. Our legs can be supported by our blocks. We can sit as high as we need. In fact, I want to sit a little bit higher here. And so the idea of the prop underneath our hips is that we want to have the pelvis slightly rolled forward. And then you can have one ankle over the other. You can do kind of a half lotus shape, a full lotus shape if that is in your practice. The ankles can just sit one in front of the other. So however you feel most comfortable in your seat, go ahead and find that. We want to be anchored through the lower half of our body, feeling really connected and rooted from the pelvis down. And then we want the upper half of our body to feel almost as though it's just floating over the pelvis. So really stable from the bottom, really fluid, going with the flow from the top, the pelvis acting as the bridge of those sensations. And so from here, we're going to practice Svadhisthana Mudra. And so this is the mudra of our second chakra, of that inner dwelling place. And this is such a nice mudra. This is one that I would encourage you to bring into your daily practices. If you have any sort of meditation mantra or prayer practices now, I would invite you to add this into part of it because it is just so easy to do and has so many wonderful effects. And so, as I have alluded to already, and we have spent some time focusing on our second chakra is located in our pelvis. And so, we'll take our right hand, and it's just about 4 fingers below the navel. We want to find our hand there. And you can already feel just as you put your right hand there that your right hand hopefully has some warmth, especially we've spent some time on our hands already. And so it should feel a little bit comforting, a little bit nurturing even to place your right hand there. And now we'll take our left hand, and if you have a block beside you, you can use a block to rest your left hand, keeping the shoulder relaxed. We'll turn the left palm towards the ceiling in a gesture of receiving. And so the idea here is that we receive universal healing energy from around us, channeling it through the left hand and placing it directly into our own inner dwelling place, our own sense of who we are and what we have to offer the world. Feeling connected, feeling creative, feeling as though we can go with the flow and the rhythms of life. Now, of course, with PMDD, that does not always feel easy. It does not necessarily feel organic to be a part of the flow. And so, as much as possible, if we can feel a sense of security from within, no matter what may be happening outwardly, this can really help to assist when we're just not quite ourselves all of the same. So, connecting with this energy at all times of the cycle, but especially when we are maybe feeling a little bit more disconnected, finding this place of connection can be powerful. And so, using the seed or bij mantra of the second chakra, we'll be chanting the sound VAM. That's VAM, VAM. And so, if you have ever ohmed, when we chant a bij mantra, it's essentially the same as oming. And so, we want to make the sound really long and full, inhaling to draw breath in, and then exhaling to send our VAM out. And so we'll go through 20 rounds of this, and we won't be counting out loud. We'll just kind of go in and out of it on our own. And so if you prefer to just listen, you can listen, remembering that chanting is not singing. So it doesn't matter if it sounds good or sounds a certain way. We are connecting to the vibrational energy of the second chakra, which is VAM. And so go ahead and find your comfortable seated meditation space, closing the eyes if that feels comfortable for you, or just lowering your gaze down towards the floor. Beginning by settling into your seat and allowing that transition into settling into your breath. Allowing breath to flow into the pelvis, finding even greater length and space in the exhale. Maybe observing that your energy has noticeably slowed. Our Svadhisthana mudra is only a 3 on our energy scale. And so let's go ahead and begin our chanting. We'll take a deep breath in, and then a deep breath out, and then we'll inhale and we'll exhale VAM. And we'll repeat that 20 times. When we are totally complete, we'll sit in silence for a few moments. Let's take our deep breath in together. Exhale and sigh it out. Now we'll inhale and exhale, Vam. Inhale. Vam. 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 Take 3 more full rounds of breath. With your next exhale, slowly release your hands down into your lap, taking your chin down towards your chest. Noticing how you feel. Maybe noticing the absence of the warmth of your hand. Taking your time, let's very slowly work our way down onto the floor. Move your props out of the way for now. You can keep your eyes closed even. Your blanket can become your pillow. As you first come down onto your back body, take a moment to just notice how it feels to be on the back body. You can rock the knees side to side. And now coming back to center, placing the feet flat on the floor, hip width distance apart, supporting the neck, but keeping the support underneath your head very minimal here. So nothing super elevated. We want just like a flat blanket, keeping the natural alignment of our spine, the natural curve of our spine, so that we're not too lifted. Taking your hands down beside your hips, tuck your shoulders under your heart and scoot your tailbone out towards your heels. Pressing down into your feet. We'll inhale, lift your hips off the floor as you stretch your arms back towards the short end of the mat. Exhaling and slowly taking your hips and hands down to the ground. So this is our flowing bridge. If you have stuff behind you like I do, give yourself some space. Pressing into the feet, shoulders underneath the heart. Inhale, hips lift, pressing up, hands reach back. Exhale, hips slowly come down, hands slowly release. Just a couple more rounds. Inhale, arms lift, hips lift. Exhale, slowly release. Last one. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, take it down. From here, taking your feet together, we'll bring the soles of the feet together. And then our knees can drop out towards the long edges of the mat, taking our blocks underneath our legs for support. You can take your arms back behind you and hold on to your opposite forearm if you like, or rest your hands wherever they feel most comfortable. While you settle into this posture, letting your body relax deeply, take a moment to observe the sensation of your pelvis. Even noticing if there's any awareness of needing to urinate, knowing that we affect our urinary system as we affect our reproductive system with attention to the second chakra. As you rest in these sensations and experiences, take a moment to observe if there's anything you want to remember to take into the rest of your day, to make note of for practice later. Once again, considering what nourishment means to you, how you feel nourished, and how you may continue to nourish yourself. Begin to deepen your breath. Starting to wiggle in your fingers, maybe releasing your arms if they're back behind you. Noticing how you're feeling, noting any energy shifts during or throughout your practice. Taking your hands to the outsides of your knees, inhale and slowly move your knees back together. And then you can exhale to roll over onto the side of your choice, resting into the fetal position. Feeling deeply grateful to have this connection to your own inner dwelling place, to your seat of self-nourishment. Pressing into your top hand, slowly come up to a seated position. You can scooch yourself onto your blanket once again if you like. Joining your hands in front of your heart, sitting tall through the crown of your head. Within myself, I am deeply nourished. This is my affirmation and wish for you as you carry on through the rest of your day. Touching our thumbs to the forehead, reminding us to live with an open mind. And then joining the thumbs and the heart, reminding us to love with an open heart. It's been my honor to guide you through your practice. We can acknowledge one another with Namaste. All right, thank you so much for joining me. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.